And then a text shows up from it saying, "This is the Miami Beach PD. I need to talk to you ASAP." And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. It was October of that year. I hadn't taken a vacation all year. And I thought, well, let's go ahead and splurge and go to Miami Beach, right? So I get my reservation in Miami Beach. And I thought, well, while I'm down there, let's splurge on a car too, right? I love cars. And I've had a lot of cars over the years. You know, I've had the American ones, the big V8s and that. And they all have their own character. Like your American V8's like the stout farm girl, you know, and you've got the Porsches are more the subtle beauty, like the hot girl next door, you know, with this precision handling, and had a lot of those. But I've never had a Ferrari, which is kind of like the supermodels. And I'd never had a Lambo, which, you know, kind of like the porn stars is the way I always kind of thought of those. But I did test drive a Ferrari 355, loved it. And I also did a 430 on a track event in Phoenix once with it. So I knew I liked those. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get a Ferrari for the first day and a Lambo for the second day and make the most out of my trip. So I get to the hotel, and then the rental company calls, says we're bringing over the Ferrari. And I believe that was a 458 at the time, red one. Shows up, beautiful car, but it's rough. And the guy even says, "You sure you don't want to go right to the Lambo?" And I said, "No, I'd really like the Ferrari for a day and be able to try both." So I get inside, and the steering wheel's all worn off. The button on the steering wheel is missing altogether. And I was cringing, and then I realized the cigarette lighter doesn't work, which means no radar detector. And I'm like, all right, that's it. You know, let's get the Lambo. So he comes back, and it's a Huracan Spider. And it started white, but they've vinyl wrapped it black wheels and everything. Beautiful car. And of course, in front of the hotel, everybody's got to stop and take their pictures and everything with it. Got all the influencers out there. And took it just around the block and up and down Ocean Drive a little bit just to get the feel for it. But I knew I only had 100 miles a day I could enjoy it. And so I didn't want to waste it all going 30 mile an hour up and down Ocean Boulevard. So I parked it, get up there, clean up, and I walk up to Mango's up the street, which is cool little cabana bar with the dancers and everything and the music. And I'm just enjoying my beer and dinner, and my phone starts blowing up from a Miami number. I was like, I don't think I know anybody in Miami yet. And then a text shows up from it saying, "This is the Miami Beach PD. I need to talk to you ASAP." And I'm like, this isn't good. So I show the waitress. I'm not skipping on the tab. I just got to go outside and call this guy. So I get outside and I call, and the first question is, "Hey, are you driving a black Lamborghini?" And I said, "Yeah." And I'm thinking, what was this thing used in a nose candy deal, or what am I getting into here? And I guess it was just an identifier, because then he told me what the deal was. Well, what happened is the week before, the concierge had emailed me from the hotel, and she said, "Hey, if there's anything you need while you're here, you know, what can I do to make your stay more enjoyable?" Well, being from Texas, where they give you a gun with every bottle of Jack Daniels, I'm like, "Yeah, you got anybody that likes guns that can get me a box of 40 cal Hydra-Shocks so I don't have to waste miles on the Lambo looking for a gun shop?" That, unfortunately, per current ordinance, requires that she forward that to the Miami Beach PD and put me on a no-no list. So they had me flagged the minute I got into the hotel. Ironically, this hotel, the Beacon, is right behind where Al Pacino shot his first victim, the Colombian, at the beginning of Scarface. Not the chainsaw one, but the one next to it, right? He said, "I have to come and make sure you're not suicidal, homicidal, any other kind of sidles." All right, fine. So I pay the tab at Mango's. Walk outside, I roll the sleeves of my shirt down so I look as angelic and less felonious as possible. And I see a park ranger and a plainclothes cop outside. I said, "Hey, are you the cop I'm supposed to be meeting?" He's like, "Well, I'm not a cop." So pretty soon, this big SUV comes ripping up there, and this dude looking like Stone Cold Steve Austin gets out. Apparently he left his neck in the car though. And he gets out, and then the other dude, the plainclothes, is like flanking me. And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not going to hurt you. It's okay." So the big guy gets out, and he says, "Here's what happened, and this is what we have to do, and got to interview you and stuff in person." And I said, "Look, in Texas, guns are not that big a deal. And from when I lived in Florida, I didn't think they were a big deal here either. Maybe Miami's different. I don't know." He said, "Well, I've got to make sure you're not suicidal, homicidal." I said, "I'm in Miami Beach renting a Lamborghini. I'm doing okay." He's like, "All right, fair enough." And he asked if I was a cop, and I said, "No, I've got relation that are cops, and I do a lot of tactical events with the military and cops in Texas. This is just not that big a deal to me. So they went on their way. He was as cool as could be. He just got to do his job. And then I went back to Mango's around 11 o'clock because a girl I used to work with and a couple of her girlfriends were coming into town. So we're all out there partying, and about 4 a.m. I left that place, not at my intellectual peak, let's say. Get back to the hotel. A few hours later at sunrise, I am not feeling the best, but I'm like, well, got to go out and enjoy the car. The only way I could even see a stoplight is to have the top down and look over the frame of the windshield. It was so low. The steering wheel was basically, 4 inches above my knees, parting the legs. It just was unbearable as far as comfort goes. And it really surprised me how stiff the suspension was too. Coming down A1A on the bumpy construction road, it was kind of a jar your kidneys type experience, especially with an extra heartbeat in my head. Didn't really help the situation. So got back, and it was still fun, and I mean, without a doubt, the sound of that V10 back there is amazing. The cool little fighter jet start button and all that is super cool. I like that the blinkers are like a motorcycle switch instead of a stalk like I'm used to. So, gorgeous car and everything, and it was fast for sure. Just the comfort was just pretty rough. So I thought, okay, get back. I took my 5 showers that day because it's Miami and it's a swamp. Got a good night's sleep. The next day at 5 a.m., I thought, okay, now let's go see what this thing's made of. So I took it out on I-95, heading to Lauderdale, and I stomped on it, and I'm going in and out of what little traffic was there, just hammer down, and it was so stiff that as you're going even in sweepers on I-95, that thing was chattering. You could feel it chatter sideways. And the only time I've felt that before is on an Italian bike that was super stiff for the track. And it'll chatter too, if it's not given enough. So I got up to Lauderdale, got some cool pictures and all that, and came back. And going up there, as I had the hammer down, my phone blips at me. And I looked at it, because I thought maybe the girls went to jail or got stranded or something, So I checked the message, and it said, this vehicle has multiple overspeed limit reports coming at it. And I'm like, oh, they put a tattletale on this thing. I never even thought that that was a possibility. So I figured, okay, I've already got a visit from the feds last night, because that guy, the Miami Beach PD guy, his card he gave me wasn't just Miami Beach PD, it's FBI anti-terrorism group. I'm like, oh, that's a lot for little old me. But nonetheless, I'm on a red flag list already. I've got the Glock on me. I'm doing double speed limit plus in a Lamborghini. None of this looks good right now. So as much as I gritted my teeth, I slowed down and just took it easy the rest of the trip and stuff, and got back. And, I drove around just across the causeway to punch it a few times. And it was a really fun trip. I had a great time. And I mean, without a doubt, I love the sound and the look of that car, and I didn't end up in shiny bracelets, which was a good thing. And, but at the end of it, I'm like, okay, maybe this is one of those don't meet your heroes things. And I do have friends that have an STO that's tall as me, and he said the STO fits him fine. So maybe different models, have different height allowance and stuff. But for me, I'm kind of like, okay, I tried the porn star, it was fun, but I'm not going to be walking it down the aisle. You won't see that in my garage anytime soon.
When you're buying a pre-owned car, it is critical to get a professional mechanic to inspect it every time. And so the Lemon Squad is the easiest way to do that and the most affordable. Generally within 24 or 48 hours, they can get somebody on site anywhere in the country with their nationwide network of trained professional mechanics that are going to give you a ton of pictures and a full report of exactly what's going on with this car. It's a great way to avoid scams, and it's a great way to get a very clear picture of the car that you're buying, and this ammunition can make you the shrewdest negotiator of all. It also makes the drive home a whole lot easier and keeps a little bit more money in your pocket, and I know that you'll love the results from the Lemon Squad. So check them out now at the link in the description below for a special discount and to make sure that you're buying the car that you think you are.